and Fed is the largest Jewish social care charity in Greater Manchester. We support 1 in 7 Jewish homes across the city region, over 6,500 people a year with issues such as mental health, sexual and domestic abuse, isolation, loneliness, poverty, self-harm, homelessness. And we also run the largest Jewish care home for the elderly in the city, called Heathlands Village, with 150 residents and tenants. And our relationship with Foundation 92 started because the place where I'm sitting now, our offices, everything is run out of our Heathlands Village care home. Literally, as the crow flies from here, is about 500 metres to Moor Lane, to Salford City's football ground. So across Kersal Moor, we are their closest significant neighbours. And when it was taken over by the class of 92, they sort of, and obviously the footfall to the stadium started to increase. There were regular sort of meetings with local residents and organisations to talk about traffic flow and litter and antisocial behaviour and all that. And I think back in those days, we're talking probably 6 years ago, I think even Barry Neville used to go every month and hear about beer bottles left on people's walls and black bin bags. And one of my team was going, and obviously at that time, I knew that I'd seen on social media that they'd hired somebody who, obviously it's not at the level that it is now with Tom and Foundation 92, but they'd hired somebody to engage with the community, and they'd set up the charity, they'd set up Foundation 92. From my perspective, I thought it was a great opportunity to get involved with collaborative work. They are located, not necessarily in the heart, but very much within the Jewish community of North Manchester, in Prestwich, on Salford, and on the border with Prestwich, etc. And so I thought it was a great opportunity, both as an organisation, to work together to see, their ethos in terms of who they were helping and we were helping. Very much, certainly within, there were plenty, there is this perception that the Jewish community is affluent and doesn't need any support, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Everything that affects wider society affects the Jewish community as well, probably more so than people think.
Right.
And there's a stereotype that isn't true. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to work together. And at the time, I was dealing with their secretary, who was Andy Giblin, I think. Was still there, I think, but was pretty much running the club single-handedly.
Yeah.
And we spoke about getting some of the players to come in to meet some of the residents, and we talked about some tickets so our residents could go out on match day. We thought about doing some sort of health and wellness stuff, and it took a while to get it going, mostly because Andy was running it by himself. And then what happened was they put it on more of a, this was in 2019, and then obviously they put it on a more of a structured footing, and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And then that's when the relationship really started, because then what happened was that we started to work very closely together around emergency food provision and home deliveries to people in the, they were doing it generally, but they helped us out when we were providing emergency food support to people in our community, and they were helping provide some of the food for that as well. And they were delivering and they were going out, and I remember going out with a couple of the guys to deliver as well. And that's when it started. And then obviously we also we do a lot of educational provision or respite provision for children with special needs, dealing with from complex sort of mental, behavioural and medical conditions. We've got a children's centre on our site here, which is quite unique because you have that nice intergenerational interaction. But then we run half programmes over half term and summer. And we were using some of the guys from Foundation 92 to come and run sort of health and wellness sessions with the kids that we were supporting. So we sort of worked together, and then they opened up the one of the function rooms at Salford City for like a banter and chat, coffee and banter thing with some, and so some of our residents and some of our tenants, because we have a supported living facility here as well, were going there, and they were having, they were going there on a Monday and doing that. And then we also run in the Jewish religion, it's a bit like confirmation. A girl at the age of 12 and a boy at the age of 13 have their bat and bar mitzvahs, where they sort of, in a religious sense, become an adult.
Yeah.
We run programs in the year up to that, because what we want to do is in a year of what is overwhelmingly celebration and materialism. They get lots of presents, have a big party. We started a program in 2019 so that they would volunteer here over the course of a year and get to understand the social care need that exists within the community, the deprivation, the loneliness, understand what it's like to be an elderly person living with dementia or an older person with loneliness, help in the children's centre. And one of those elements is fundraising as well, understand what it is to do something for charity. And so we partner with Salford City, with Foundation 92 at Albert Park as part of that course, and they do it's a knockout competition that we work with them with as well. So there's lots of different things that we do. Our social work team works with them as well. And we do a fundraising event with them every year. So we had a fundraising lunch, joint fundraising lunch last year. We do another one on November the 7th. And it's great because the money is split jointly between the two organisations. It brings together a very sort of different crowd of people. But again, it's a perfect example of intercommunal collaboration, supporting the wider community, supporting the faith community. And they appreciate that when they go out into the community, we can help advise them on the culturally appropriate way to support the Jewish community. The Jewish community is a broad brush. You've got people who are very, very religious, and you've got people who are not religious at all. But there's culturally appropriate ways to support them in many different ways, and so we sort of work together on that. So it's a great relationship, and they're really, really good.
Brilliant.
Good guys.
Oh, that's really helpful to hear all of those different ways you've worked together. I did send you some questions. We don't have to kind of stick to script, so to speak, but I think what I'd really like to understand is just to get your perspective on, what are some of the current health and wellbeing challenges, and what are the kind of social issues that you're seeing and hearing and experiencing within your community.
Interestingly enough, because I've just been working on it today for our Jewish New Year appeal,
right?
Homelessness is something that really has, we all thought, and I was talking about this with our social work manager last week, cost of living, something that we started to hear about probably about 18 months ago, and people were talking about warm hubs and all that sort of stuff. And it didn't really come through for the clients that we support. But since January, we've had cases of homelessness have quadrupled.
Wow.
Referrals to us.
Okay.
And that's something that's a social care issue that we're really struggling with. And then also extreme cases of mental health,
right?
Suicide, self-harm have also risen quite significantly. And we're just getting more. We have two sections to our community services. We've got a professional social work team, so we employ 6 full-time qualified social workers, which is probably quite rare for a charity. Many of the people that we've looked after we've looked after for years, if not decades in some cases. And we have a volunteer team that coordinate 550 volunteers that do, telephone befriending, in-person befriending, hospital visits, shopping, that sort of stuff. So we're seeing a lot of homelessness is one that has really jumped out on us. Increase in mental health, and then also increase in safeguarding, specifically around financial abuse of parents by children.
Right.
The people struggling themselves. So those are the things that we're really dealing with, and then just isolation, loneliness, people just being isolated and lonely because they just don't have money to do stuff. Those are the things that we're seeing really.
And so, because that's quite a lot of complex things going on, and I'm sure you're seeing the relationship between all of those things unfold. But how is it manifesting itself within your community? What's the behaviours that you're seeing? And
well, we're seeing people coming to us, being referred into us, either coming into us directly or being referred in by healthcare professionals, GPs, hospital chaplains, schools. Lots of referrals from head teachers around issues around homelessness. And they can be for a myriad of issues. But it's basically, it's homeless. And what we're also finding is that the challenge for us is that whereas in the past, if somebody was homeless and we were rehousing them, we could go to specific charitable institutions and ask for a grant. That rehousing to help with the deposit on the flat, to help with furnishing the flat, with the essentials that people need. We used to get, £5,000. We're getting at the most several £100 nowadays because the
Right.
demand has just increased. So we're having to try and bridge that gap through our own donors, which puts more pressure on our own fundraising.
Okay.
And then we're just seeing more complex casework that's taking up more time, which means that sometimes we have to, in inverted commas, shut our front door to new
Right.
business or triage in a different way,
Yeah.
which is something that upsets us because we want to be able to be here for everyone.
Yeah.
And then just basic, food provision and cost of living. It is hitting now more so than it was 12 months ago, which it's probably accumulation of higher interest rates, higher food costs, just continuing to rise and rise and rise. So it's a challenge for us.
And are there particular like hotspots? Have you got really down to the granular level of detail around which communities, which areas, which postcodes? How do you understand the need?
Yeah, I mean, we operate across GM, but
Right.
the Jewish community is mostly centred in two areas. So
Right.
in North Manchester, it's centred in Salford and in Bury, so Prestwich, Whitefield, Sunnybank, those areas. And in Broughton, it's centred in Broughton Park, Higher Broughton, which is where Salford City is. And then in South Manchester, it's mostly in Cheadle, Altrincham, Hale, and Bowden, Hale Barnes and Bowden. There's absolutely more poverty around the Higher Broughton area because that's where the bulk of the ultra-Orthodox, so very religious community live, and they generally tend to have bigger families, more children, less likelihood of better paid jobs and further education.
Yeah.
So we see that a lot. And we see a lot of support that we're getting from there. They're also more often than not the ones whose children come to our children's centre.
Right.
Because again, taking one of those children with complex issues out of the home delivers a huge amount of respite to the rest of the family, even if it's for that one day. The family can reset, the other children can have perhaps what you might call more of a normal day. So yes, we're seeing most of that. The elderly provision, the provision for the elderly around loneliness and isolation tends to be more in the areas that we support in North Manchester, specifically around Prestwich and Bury, because they tend to be Jewish people who aren't religious, so they don't necessarily have a wider close-knit family in existence, and a lot of them have family who live outside of Manchester or even abroad, and so they're the ones that need the support with the befriending and the shopping, because they have less of an inbuilt support network, whereas the poverty and the children with special needs tends to come more from the ultra-Orthodox community.
Okay, thank you for that. And so you've mentioned befriending, you've mentioned the special programs that you do to help help your youngsters have a more rounded experience and what the needs of the local community are. Could you just walk me through some of the programs that you've got running at the moment?
So we do, from an elderly perspective, we do what we call coffee stops once a month in North and South Manchester. So those are 2 hours for about 160 people, elderly people who come. They have tea, coffee, cakes. We put on some entertainment. We give them a speaker. Many of them we have to utilise our volunteer network to bring them because they can't make their own way there. And for many of those people, it's the only human interaction that they have in a week, maybe sometimes even in a month. It's a chance for them to reconnect, to feel part of a community, and to have some human contact. We run on a Friday and a Sunday this Project Smile at our children's centre, which is where we have children with high levels of autism, of physical disability, of behavioural disability. Some of them need one-to-one care. Often our staff have to be trained in physical restraint because of the complex needs of the children that we're dealing with.
Right.
And again, that's an opportunity for them to many of them don't go to mainstream schools, many of them don't have a lot of friends, so it's a chance for them to learn social skills, to talk to other friends, to talk to other children, and to, again, as I said, equally as important, to give their parents and their family the respite that they need for a couple of days a week. And then during the summer holidays, we run day camps for 3 or 4 weeks every day of the week, and we take them on outings, and we take families on outings as well. So for example, today we've taken the children to go to our summer camp with their parents and siblings to Gulliver's World.
Right.
And for most of these families, that's the only summer holiday activity they're going to get. You know, we take it for granted we can get on a plane and go here or there. It's the only one they're going to get. So we do that. Again, we have a lot of young volunteering. So a big thing for us is to engage with the next generation of volunteers. So it's important for us we have programs, graduated step programs for children from the age of 12 to 13, then 14 to 16, then 15 to 16, until they can become full-time volunteers, adult volunteers at 16, to give them volunteering opportunities in the care home or in the wider community as well. So that's also really important. And then, you know, there's the ongoing social work that we do, and the ongoing, you know, benefit claiming. We do a huge amount of helping people navigate. You know, I think last year we helped people claim £140,000 of benefit and pension credit, you know, income support and universal credit and pension credit that they weren't entitled to, because for many of these people navigating the DWP web, I mean, I think I'd struggle to claim universal credit if I tried to navigate it. So again, that's a massive amount of support that we give people to help people claim things that they're entitled to. And as we know, you know, £80 a week to somebody that's not got £80 a week is changing sum of money. So we do a huge amount of that as well. There's a lot of abuse work that we do, safeguarding issues on the complex case side as well.
Lots and lots. And so with Foundation 92 in mind, because obviously they're looking at kind of broad brush, changing lives through sport, much more about health, well-being, diet, nutrition, physical activity, as well as mental health. So where would you say there are opportunities for you guys to really kind of come together and tackle some of the kind of mutual challenges that go on with the community?
So I think one of the things that I know that they do, which I've always thought has been incredible, and I don't know if they still do it, so correct me if I'm wrong, is the partnership with Experian around financial literacy.
Right, okay.
Which I think would be really beneficial to sort of, you know, maybe work collaboratively on. I also think we have a number of drop-in groups every week that we do. So, for example, health and wellbeing, we do a walk and talk in Heaton Park every week, which is great for people to come to get some fresh air, to exercise, and just to be able to talk to another human being. We do a mental health drop-in group, again, where people can come and just be with other people and play some games, play some snooker, play some ping pong. We do that on our site here. And I think just developing some sort of physical activity projects together that will get people being a bit more active, getting that sort of, you know, those endorphins going a bit, and just, you know, helping them do stuff that they might not eat the best, they might not have the best diet, but getting them to do that, I think would really help as well. But I think those are probably the key areas. And then with the kids, I think, you know, working with us with our Project Smile to run specifically bespoke sort of, you know, fitness and well-being activities that can benefit the kids together, I think also would be really useful.
Okay, fantastic. And so with your experience to date with Foundation 92 and some of the things that they've done, what kind of feedback have you received from people who've, you know, been on the fundraising days that you've done, or had some kind of interaction with Foundation 92?
Overwhelmingly positive. You know, they're great guys. They deliver. They do what they do. They do well. They're very well led. I would say that. We're pleased to work with them. They've shown a great sort of understanding to embrace and connect with the Jewish community. They really have, and we feel that they value sort of our input, that they genuinely care, want to help, and you know, that's on a practical level, that's very welcome, and we're grateful for that. But we also live in very unique and troubled times as a Jewish community in this country, and I think to have that support and that friendship from them, I think I would also like to say is very, very welcome. And that's led by Tom, who's incredible.
Great. Oh no, thank you for that. Are there any highlights, any kind of notable experiences you've had or you've observed or have heard from others that you would call out?
I think for me, it will always go back to, we sort of settled into a rhythm of doing various different things together. Sometimes we do more together, sometimes we do less together. But I think also what I would say is that, I recognise that from their perspective as well. And what I genuinely thank them for is that they understand it's important for them to engage with the Jewish community as well. And they see the Fed as the best vehicle to do that. And we are, because we're the largest, we support more Jewish people than anybody else. I think that connection works really well. But for me, it was during COVID, it was the support that they gave us around the food deliveries, the willingness to help, the willingness to get involved, the desire just to do really.
Yeah.
They didn't have to get involved with us. We've got an existing infrastructure here. It's not like we're a small charity who was struggling, but they wanted to help. They wanted to show that care for the Jewish community visibly to support us. And I think that's something we'll always be grateful for.
And so with that kind of experience in mind and stuff that you've seen over the time you've worked alongside them or seen what they've been working on, what would you say are the kind of standout learnings or best practice from that kind of working together when it's gone really, really well? What would you say are the kind of main things that you'd call out as the ingredients for it going fantastically well?
I think the first thing was, obviously we both have different structures. I mean, when we just can't give that we've got like they do as well. We have issues of safeguarding, we have issues of DBS checking, we have issues of we just can't give a bag of food to somebody and say deliver it to that person at that address, because there's issues of GDPR and confidentiality. So somebody has to be a trained volunteer with us. And I think they understood that straight away at the beginning. I'm sure they know that now inside and out because of the people that they deal with. But, they were very willing straight away to say, right, okay, what sort of, what boxes do we need to tick to be able to come and help you do this?
Mm-hmm.
And they did that. They also went out and bought food themselves, and they were very keen to sort of understand and learn. They went to the kosher shops, which I think was a bit of an eye opener for them. If you ask them, I remember at the time thinking, "Oh, this is they've been in a kosher. I mean, not that it's any different to anybody else, but the food's all kosher."
Yeah.
But then to understand what it is to deliver, to buy kosher food, where to go, what we were doing, and I think we had it. They didn't work with me on that. They worked with our volunteer team and our social work team.
Yeah.
But it was a very easy transition, and they were very willing to sort of take on board the structures that we had in place from a regulatory perspective that we had to go through. And I think it's just been a desire to collaborate and to be innovative in some of the programs that we've done. And again, as I say, just a willingness to support the community.
Okay.
Well,
great. So obviously you operate across Greater Manchester, and Salford are small, I guess, because they're quite hyper local in their approach. There are other football funded and supported charities in Greater Manchester. Did you work with any of them, or is there any other charities that you've worked with that you think actually they're really getting it right over there? Have you observed that?
So we work with other football clubs, but that's mostly through a project that we have at the Fed called My Voice, which records the whole life stories of Holocaust survivors who settled in Greater Manchester before or after the war, and we take survivors in to talk to their academies.
Right.
And we've done that with Burnley and Bolton and Wigan and Accrington, and actually we took the survivor in to talk to the Foundation 92 professional team.
Yeah.
So we haven't. So that's our extent of working with football clubs in that respect. We did something at Everton not so long ago with their academy, but that again was a Holocaust survivor talk. We haven't worked with any other charities. We do quite a bit of work with joint work with Mustard Tree.
Oh yes, yeah, I know them.
Mostly because our former chair of trustees and now honorary patron is their chair of trustees now, Mark Addlestone. And our chief exec's got a very good relationship with Joe Walby, who's their chief exec. So we've done some joint events before, and we've done some other stuff, but we haven't worked with anybody else like Salford, like Foundation 92, in the way that we've worked with Foundation 92.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say to you is, from my following of them and my understanding of them, is that they have a great reach in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the smaller local, the smaller clubs and their foundations lower down the pyramid have a far greater impact in the community than the bigger clubs do.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I saw this when we did some work with Accrington Stanley around the Holocaust stuff, because we did two events there, one to the Accrington general community and one to their academy and first team setup. And what I could see from the one that we did with the local community was their reach and their engagement and their ability to impact and bring people in from the community was massive. And I'm a big believer that people like, organisations like Foundation 92 have the far better ability to impact people on the ground in the areas in which they operate than the bigger clubs.
Yeah. Okay.
Much more granular, I think.
Great. Okay. So just thinking about their strategy, your experience, and obviously some of the common issues that you're trying to tackle. In your view, what advice or what kind of direction, or are there any gaps you think the Foundation 92 need to attend to?
I don't think so. I mean, certainly from the work that they've done with us, I think that, they also came, by the way, sorry, I forgot to mention this earlier, they sent some of their team to some of our coffee stops that I referenced earlier, to engage with the elderly people and provide support and get interaction, and that was great as well. So from my perspective, there's nothing really that we're doing that I would say we wish Foundation 92 got more involved with. Right. I think we've worked together on all the important areas that so they work with us with our children with special needs. Yep. They've worked with us in the community, both in terms of our programs that affect isolation and in terms of our food provision when was needed to the community. They've worked with us with our residents here and some of our tenants here by bringing them into the Monday clubs they used to do at Salford City, and they've worked with us on our sort of general younger volunteering programs that we run to sort of engage with our younger members of our community early on. So I think, there's not much more to say than in terms of what we could do.
So more of the same.
Yeah, more of the same.
More of the same. Okay, fantastic.
I mean, maybe we could look at expanding. As I said, I think it would be interesting to see if there was a possibility to work with some of our clients on financial literacy through them, if they're still doing that with Experian, give them that financial education, that financial literacy. But I think that what we've done at the moment covers all the areas that we support.
Okay.
They're a great organisation. They really are. I've got a lot of time. They're great guys. They're nice guys. That Tom is incredibly focused and driven. And I think they do a lot of good work. And I think it's a testament to their trustees as well that they want to do that they really want to affect change. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, we've hit the half-hour mark, so I will just ask you if there's anything else that you wanted to add.
No, not unless you think there's anything else that you want to ask me, but
not really. I don't think so. It's been really helpful and really great to hear what your organisation is about and all of the fantastic things that you're doing. There's definitely, opportunities there, like you say, maybe to kind of to think about financial literacy, and then I think scale is the other thing, because it seems like the problem's just getting.
And also, if they develop new, because we don't always keep across every new thing that they do, but if they come up with a new initiative that they do generally say to us, do you think there's a possibility for collaboration with this? So, on the other hand, for example, there's possibilities. We do a lot of work with Answer Cancer.
Right. Okay.
And maybe there's a possibility to sort of widen that out by doing an Answer Cancer project in partnership with Foundation 92. So we do a lot of awareness around cancer and checking and screening and things like that.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay, fantastic. Well, if you do think of anything, then do drop me a note on email if there's something that kind of you reflect on, you think, I wish I'd said that. Drop me a note. So I will, as I say, this one of about half a dozen interviews that we're doing with a number of different stakeholders like yourself. So we're pulling this together, and we'll keep you posted on how it comes out and what the next few years are looking like, where the opportunities might be, and hopefully our conversations will continue to happen, and the work will keep going, and you'll be continuing to do fantastic things. It's a lovely project to be involved in, I have to say, so I'm really excited about it.
They're really good guys, and I hope they go from strength to strength, because they make a big difference.
Great, lovely. All right, well, fantastic.
All right.
Nice to meet you,
Thanks,
Rafi,
Rob.
and
Nice to meet you.
take
Take
care.
care.
All
Bye-bye.
right, cheers.
Bye.
Bye bye.